Welcome back to Christmas on the Farm. This morning we're just going to be showing you guys the brooder that I mentioned that we redid, taking the chicks out, just a little bit of our like morning chick routine. Because it is so cold, we do try to wait till it hits like at least 40 to bring them out right now, but they're almost there, that it really doesn't matter anymore. They're almost 8 weeks. And they really should be fine, but I definitely am slowly introducing them, especially in this weather, without the heater. So I don't want to shock them. So we have this heater out here today. We haven't had the heater at all, but today is not going to get above 40, like 6 or something like that. And it's been steadily like up into the 50s in the day. So I just have it on heater mode, and they usually just hang out. They either like to perch themselves up on that, or they just sit in front of it and they stay warm. So this is what we put our chicks in during the day. We built it as just like a temporary run. It's nothing fancy at all, and we kind of just shift it. You can see here in the ground like they've destroyed, so we kind of just shift it back and forth. And chicks are gross. There's like no getting around that. We clean, like thoroughly clean their water off probably every other day, and right now it already looks like this. I really don't like this period of chicks. I like when they're really tiny. Once they start getting towards that age where they're ready for the coop, no, it's not fun anymore. All right, so Rev hops in there, keeps them from jumping out. And this is, uh-oh, what happened?
Let's go up the theater.
Oh, okay.
Okay, girls.
And then Ari and Rev work together to bring the chicks out.
No biting, no pecking. Oh, so we're able to get one.
Open it up.
Here's baby.
Is this yours? What's her name?
Creek. Creek.
Creek. You're so beautiful.
This girl is so cute. She has Pokey up here. She has Pokey.
And this one just makes messes pretty much the whole time. Playing with dirt and water and feeding scoops. Ma'am, what do you have in your bucket? Water and dirt.
My chickie.
Your chickie, yep. What is Thunder?
Black Australorp.
A black Australorp. Like Rainy was part Australorp, so she wanted another Australorp. Thunder has a very pronounced comb.
She might be a rooster.
We'll see. I'm sure we're going to end up with at least a few accidental roosters. We'll just have to find out who it is.
Probably mine. I want a friend rooster. Maybe mine. I want a friend rooster. I want Thunder to be a rooster.
Maybe. One of my least favorite parts about chicks and why they're really not my fave. At least I wouldn't suggest having as many as we have. When you just have like maybe 4 to 6, not that bad at all. But when you have 18, it's a lot of poop. Like this, nasty, right? So we try to clean it off every other day at least. But like literally within seconds, it'll have poop on it again. Gotta share this moment because it's a rarity. So on the top of these feed bags, if you could find the end of the string, all you have to do is pull it like this. Then it just opens and you don't have to worry about using a knife or whatever. So insulation is here, guys. That was gonna be one of our biggest holdups on potentially closing on time, and it's here. Thank goodness. All right, C and Exhibit A. He literally, the food just went in there and he jumped up. Or she. Hopefully a she. As many she's as possible, please.
First I get in the brooder, and then I get the bin to put all the shavings in, and I need a shovel to scoop it out. Like this. Messy chickies. And then just scoop it out and pour it in.
I'm just taking some diatomaceous earth and putting this in here in case there's anything lurking. They also like to dust big when they get back in here, so.
Now I'm putting shavings in.
Put shavings back in, yep.
Nice. Careful, Remy. Not enough.
Basically, though, this is kind of what we ended up doing. We just used the ground because it was just easier, quite frankly. These, I don't even know what they're from. They're something from the house, but they fit. I don't know, I want to say these are like 3/4 inch plywood, perfectly on track. So this kind of like is the bottom brace for all of them. And then we just took plywood and kind of built it. It's not supposed to look like super nice at all because this is very temporary until we have our like final brooder in the new coop. This is that same heat plate, but you can attach it to the wall. This thing is really cool. You can do a lot of things with it. It is the Producer's Pride brand, which I think is a Tractor Supply brand. Actually, I have the boxes are right over there. You can have it up on its side like the chickens have over, like chicks have over there. So you can use it these 3 ways. Standing up like that. You can also turn it sideways like that. You can put it like this so that it's more like a brooder plate that they go underneath when they're really little. Or you can hang it up on the side. And then it has a heater mode and it has a brooder mode. So
this is our roof.
Literally just rests on that 2x4 and then insets here so like it can't accidentally fall anywhere. There's this bar right here that is attached to it, which keeps it from being able to shift or accidentally fall in. This was the old top for the smaller brooder that he literally just adjusted. It's a few hours later. We had our homeschool co-op that we host here, so I had to take a little break. But at the end of this, I wanted to talk quick about our experience with chicks in the fall versus the spring. So first off, I will say that I'm not going to talk to all climates. At the end of this, I think my main thing is to time it perfectly for your climate. But we have had chicks in the spring, we've had them in the summer, we've had them now in the fall into winter, and I think that the fall to winter is my favorite. Not necessarily because it's the easiest. There are pros and cons to both. Obviously, if you bring chicks in the spring, and I was under the impression when I was a new chicken owner that like spring was the only time you could do chicks, which is not true. Again, dependent on climate. You know, when you have chicks that are in the spring or summer, it's really easy to transition them outside because, you know, when chicks are born, they need to be in, I think it's about 95 degrees, and then I think that drops down like 5 degrees every week, I want to say. And then when they get their feathers in, you know, they can go out. Now in the spring summer, it's not a big change in temperature because you know, you go from 95 degrees and you're dropping, you know, 5 degrees, and by the time they're moving outside, it's 70 to 80 degrees, so it's not that bad. Where in the winter or the fall, you know, you're starting at that 95 degrees, you drop the 5 degrees, but then when they hit the 5 to 6 weeks where they have their feathers in and they can move outside for a bit, now again, typically it's like suggested to move them out full time to a coop at like 8 weeks. Technically when they have their feathers in, they can move, which for most is around 5 to 6 weeks, but it can be up to 8. But it's a difference between moving them out of heat and going into 70 to 80 degree weather versus moving them out of heat and moving into 30 to 40 degree weather, which is our case being in North Carolina here, kind of like just headed into the mountains. We have mountain views here. We technically live like in the base of the mountains, the foothills. So it's just a big difference between the two. And so it does take more work like transitioning them. There is an actual like transition period when you raise fall winter chicks versus spring, and you can just put them out and they're good. And with those things I showed you, those heaters, it really has made a difference. With that said, and all the work of like, you know, having to figure out when's an appropriate time to bring them outside in the morning, if it's like still in the 20s, and having to move heaters and stuff, I still feel like fall chicks are worth it, and I'll tell you why. They seem like they are so much more hardier. Our percentage of chicks that we lost this time around is so much smaller. I believe we did 3 or 4 rounds of chicks between spring and summer, and we lost, I want to say, at least 1 or 2 in every group of those chicks. And losing chicks is normal. It is a normal part of owning chickens, and it's very sad and it's rough, and I don't think it ever gets any easier. It's sad. But those groups were smaller. They were anywhere from 4 chicks up to, I think we had 8 chicks. And this group of chicks is 18, and we only lost 1. And that was before even like temperatures had really started to drop. So these chickens we left outside in the barn for the heat lamps to work. You're supposed to have at least 50 degrees for them to be able to make it up to that like 95 in the beginning that you really need when they're little. And we didn't have that issue in the very beginning because we started that in like fall, you know, end of September, so it stayed above that. but within 2 or 3 weeks, we were getting down into the 30s. You know, they've been very healthy. We haven't had any problems. And after reading some other chicken keepers' experiences with spring versus fall chicks and like long-term health, it seems very common that people say that their chicks that they have raised in the fall or winter are much healthier than their chicks that are raised in the spring or summer. Now, I don't know if there's any like real big studies done on that, but just from the little research I have done just on like Facebook groups or backyard chickens or something like that, there's a website that's like really great for information. I'll put it here so you guys know the name of it. Just everyone that had experienced both seemed to be on par, that like as much as it was a little more work for the fall winter chicks, they just seemed so much more healthier long term. So I'll be interested to see, because we have chicks of, you know, different time periods, kind of over time, how they do health wise. When we do the bulk of chicks, we probably will still stick with fall winter, and we really have keyed in on some things with the new coop, which you guys will see once it's done, that will make things like feeders and waters staying clean, and even outside time. You know, we're going to have a small run attached to the brooder that we just open up that door once they hit that 5 to 6 weeks, that if they have their feathers fully in, so they can just go in and out from the brooder to outside as they see fit. So you know, we've worked all of these in to really streamline the process of having chicks and make it easy, less messy. And so at that point, having them in the fall, winter is going to be a walk in the park. I think overall, though, from just looking at the experiences of other chicken owners with fall versus spring chicks, and our experience too, and seeing the percentage of loss with our 18 chicks versus our groupings of 4 to 8, it's just such a big difference in the loss. It's usually easier to find chicks, obviously, in the spring, which is a large part of why people get them then. Places like Tractor Supply, for instance, don't carry chicks anytime but like spring to summer. As soon as they get into late fall, they don't carry them anymore. If you have a rural king near you, they carry chicks all year round. Obviously, if you're in chicken groups, there's usually always chicks available, much more in the spring, but there are usually chicken keepers that have chicks available for you. Or, like we're planning to do, you can raise and incubate your own at any time. So, yeah, that's kind of, I just wanted to let you guys know kind of what I had seen and experienced as a newer chicken owner, but having now experienced fall and spring and summer, kind of, you know, what I think and what I think we might do moving forward. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video though. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you in our next one. See you tomorrow. Bye.